Welcome to Explore SoMa podcast with Marianne and Sophie. We are usually talking about all kinds of stuff, and today is no exception. We are starting with a knitting adventure, and from there, getting into symbols and what symbols mean, learning from our past, and the past history of the world, and just, some of it might think today's topic is a little controversial. If you do, you can join our conversation, but please be nice, okay? Be nice. I wanted to show you some. I'm knitting right now, and I want you to tell me, oh man, too many cables.
If you ask me what is going to be, I have absolutely no idea, because when you do something, it's hard for me to say.
I know. But what do you think when you see this design? What do you see?
I see. So I can tell you the shape. Do you want to tell me what shape I see? I see a square and see a different type of triangle. I don't know. It could be a cushion later. I don't know, because it's
Okay.
square.
So, but you see like triangles in different colors, right?
Yes, definitely different color. And I see triangle, yes.
Okay. So this is the design. Okay, let me go back a little bit. There is some things in the knitting community. Oh, we talked about knitting before.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so there's some things in the knitting community which are called calls. And Cal, or I don't know how to pronounce it, is KAL, which stands for knit along. And when there's an M in front of it, it stands for mystery, knit along, meaning you sign up and like this thing is going to be a shawl. And I have made another one, which is going to be mittens. So you know what shape you end up with, but you don't know what design you end up with. And typically the way it's done is that every week you get a part of the design and you knit this, and you can there's also the same thing happening for crochet people, but and I think even sewers have started to do that, so that you kind of have this fun of your design developing and to see what's going to happen. It's kind of this element of surprise and adventure in seeing things, right? So there's a designer who is in the knitting world, semi-famous, like a lot of people are following him. I'm on a platform called Ravelry, which is just for knitting and crochet and weaving. So just on the platform, there are well over 5,000 people participating in this mystery thing, right? And it starts out with a build up to choose your colors, and you can show all those different color combinations you come up with. And so it's quite a bit of community things, and people are very excited when the first clue drops, when you get the pattern for the first piece. Usually what happens, you can fully become in a mystery space by just joining threads, I guess you would call it. You can have like discussion groups. So I don't know what's the right word would be, where no pictures are shown. Or you can go into the one which they call it spoiler, where the first clue is shown already done. There are people test knitting it, and you see it in different colors and so forth. So this one came out, and somebody went, oh, this looks like a swastika. People lost their mind. So, of course, a lot of knitters are from Germany, and there's all this. I mean, I grew up in Germany, and I was definitely born way after the war, but we were just raised with a lot of guilt about the Hitler history. And the swastika is actually a forbidden symbol, right? At the same time, there's politically a big neo-Nazi movement going on, which also here in the United States, there's people which are always believing in whatever, right? So people went, oh, a lot of people is like, I don't see it. I can't see it. I don't know what you're what you're seeing. And then it started, said people were calling each other names. And then people were like, well, if it's like that, let me change it. And so people came up with all kind of creative ideas, how to change design. And then one person started to get very angry and saying, well, I'm of Jewish background and my grandparents were in the Holocaust. And I guess they live in a city where there's a lot of hateful things going on towards the schools, which is really terrible, is that we still live in a space of so much hate going on between all different groups. And we are both in the US and we have witnessed against so many different groups, so much violence and hate, and which is absolutely terrible, right? But then other people spoke up and said, well, I'm Jewish too. And I had parents, but basically, so the first person was saying, if you don't see the symbol and if you continue knitting the shawl with the original symbol, which you identified as triangles and colors, right? Which that's what most people were seeing, then you're a racist. So now, boom, the racist card was thrown down. And to me, it's like, well, now you just stopped any kind of discussion, because when somebody put this down, there's nothing you can say anymore. If you're told, if you don't see this, you're a racist. And if you knit it like this, you're a racist. You can't really say anything. Other people, which are also Jewish, spoke up and were saying, well, my parents were also in the Holocaust, or my grandparents or a family, but I just see a pinwheel and I'm going to knit the original. Suddenly there was all this discussion going on and people were just out of their minds, calling each other names, and it became very unkind and very whatever. So the poor designer, who that's, a big part of his business, right? Have said many people buy patterns and possibly yarn from his store and so forth, right? So he was put in a very terrible situation. I'm sure it was just really heartbreaking for him. So he came out with a completely different design and said, okay, from now on, I don't want to have any association with said hate symbol. So from now on, this is a new version. And it's just kind of a square with colors going around. So now people which had kind of changed the first clue to look very different, they got all upset. So the whole thing was just very emotionally charged. I found that it also opened a lot of emotions for me on very different levels. For one, obviously, I grew up in Germany with the whole World War II history. And while I grew up in Germany, I never knew a Jewish person. It was just, you had Protestants and Catholics. So then when I came here, I have now a lot of friends from different Jewish backgrounds. I have Muslim friends from different countries in the world. And I also have met, which is sad but true, there are a lot of Holocaust deniers, and especially people have left Germany after the Second World War for all different reasons, and all different kinds have left there, right? And so what I found, I was like, whoa, really? And of course, in Germany, it's not allowed to deny the Holocaust, right? It's something which punishable, I'm assuming. I'm not that familiar with the German laws anymore. But what I found is, after having encountered people here and they were saying, oh, we have proof and there are books and there are videos and all kinds of stuff around. So when I went back to Germany and I just said, okay, people, you were alive at the time, like my mom and others. So you tell me what was going on. How can it be that they have all this literature? What's the deal, right? So my own mother was calling me, I don't know what, but she definitely didn't want to engage. And one friend of the family was like, yeah, we were there and it was terrible. And there's no lies about it, because people come up with all different things, what is the truth, what is not the truth. And I was thinking about that, because even at the time, there was already a rise in new hate groups, hating anything different, which is a really absolute terrible thing, which seems to be happening all over the world. Said something which is different from me is being met with hate instead of with curiosity and wanting to find out, right? So at the time I was thinking, but I wonder if the guilt we have been experiencing as Germans, I don't know what it is now, with the new generations. I'm just talking about my generation. We were told Germans were bad, bad, bad. And also, but at the same time, you have to watch your government. Government can do bad things. So I was wondering if people who were raised with that guilt felt resentful and saying, well, this is not my guilt. I didn't do anything. And that's how they changed their emotion to now being more speaking more hateful, which I'm not a psychologist, I don't know, but I was just wondering how that could be related.
No, yeah. Yeah, well, there is, when I was listening to your incredible story about knitting, should be a pleasure, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of things came up, and yes, of course, because of our background, because, oh yes, I'm French. So I grew up also with a huge part of my history class was on the World War II, right? And yes, I was aware of the symbol of the Nazi, right? Okay. But the swastika, and it's where there is some confusion. We should not confuse a symbol with what people transformed it. Because at the origin, the swastika is a symbol of peace and power that is coming from India. And if you look at very old statue and building, so you have to find it. And it has nothing to do with hate. Unfortunately, it was taken, this symbol, and now people, when they see this symbol, they think that it's a symbol of hate.
Right.
Well, at the origin was never. So even if you have swastika at home, it doesn't mean that you are Nazi, right? So that's first the thing, is that really understanding that a symbol doesn't represent something in particular if it has been reused over and over, right? So if suddenly I'm using the shape of a heart and I make a hammer with that and I'm starting to beat everyone around me,
right,
then people will hate the heart, right?
Which is, I'm so glad you're saying it, because this comes to my second part of my emotional story here. Because like you said, in India, and I believe like Buddhists also have the symbol as a sign of like light and joy, really. The same is true for the Native people of America. So in the Navajo tradition, actually, it goes way further back than the known Navajo history, because in this area, there was different people before, and you can go to like Canyon de Chelly, which is a beautiful area, and take tours there. And there is a symbol on the what do you call it? Big stone walls. You know what I mean? Together with other symbols of snake and this and so forth, and it has been used forever. And also it's represented in Navajo weaving, it's represented in Hopi jewelry, so a lot of different Native people have the symbol. And actually, I think I told you that I had been taking a Navajo weaving class. In that class, a young upcoming weaver artist came and visited a few times and showed us his weaving in progress. And then once a year at the Hurt Museum in Phoenix, there is a big Native art fair where people come from all over. And, it's not just weaving, it's jewelry and basket making and lots of really beautiful things. And he sold his piece of weaving there for like, I believe, $45,000 to a gallery in New York. And he had a big swastika symbol on his weaving. So when I saw the picture for the first time, I had the typical German reaction of like, oh my gosh, right? And then I was like, oh, but it means something completely different. And do we have the right to take a symbol from which has a meaning for millions of people and now distill it down to that one hateful meaning? And then I was thinking, well, maybe it's time for everyone to take the symbol back, because if the symbol would be embraced by the Jewish community, which I'm not asking to do. I mean, everybody has their own things, but I'm just thinking, if we don't give that symbol so much power, since the people which are abusing it could not keep abusing it, because it would lose, it would lose the power. And it kind of made me think about how mega right-wing political people in the United States are wearing like red baseball caps. And my husband was saying, oh, now the red baseball cap is doing for everyone. And then it made me think about the red hat society. It's like women over 50 wearing red hats to step into their power and stuff. And I was like, I wonder how that is impacted. But it comes back to like this, we give it the power, like you were saying with the placebo effect, if we think some is, we give it a lot of power to absolutely make it a true reality.
Absolutely. And it's all in the mind. I think that designing the shawl that with what I saw triangle, of course, because of my background, I was thinking, you can even see a swastika there.
Oh, you were, or you were not? You saw it?
So I was thinking I could. If I wanted, I could.
Okay.
But I was thinking, it's not the design. The design is a triangle. For me, that's triangle.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is that I received the heritage of what I learned in school.
Mm-hmm.
And as you as German and as me as French, we were just diving in it. And with all the resentment of our teacher telling us, oh, they were bad people. And so we really were feeling that, oh, we have to hate that because it's not good. We couldn't understand that they never explained to us the origin of the swastika.
Right. I only found out about that much later.
So
yeah.
So my point is there is that first I saw a big square, then I saw triangle, and they, oh well, that could be a swastika there. But I said, no, it's not a swastika, that's triangle. And even if I went through the whole process, then I remove any idea of what it means. And I think also that saying to other people, if you don't see the swastika, is because you are racist. It has no sense at all. No sense at all. Because remember when Sashi was saying there is people when they were in India, they were all about one god, whatever. So let's say they were all about Vishnu, and they didn't like Shiva. So all their life long, they say, Shiva is not good, not good god. I don't like Shiva. I don't like Shiva. I don't like Shiva. And then by the end of their life, when they were dying, the only thought they had, it was for Shiva. Right. So my point is, the more you put your effort in something you don't like, the more it's coming back. Right. And it's true for everyone. So if everyone say, oh, you should ban the swastika symbol because it's with Hitler, then everyone is seeing that. But if you stop seeing the symbol of Hitler and you see the symbols that for Buddhists or in India or whenever other,
or Navajos or
Navarro, right? That it is a symbol of peace and power, and then you are, it's what you have to focus on. So, but most of the time, the mind is focusing on what we don't like instead of what we like, right? So I think again, if people see triangle in this in the pattern, they see triangle and it's what it means for them.
Yeah.
We don't have to modify the way they are thinking. And the person who is seeing a svatika is uncomfortable with that, that's her own journey. That's her own journey. She can just step away from knitting it because she doesn't like it, or she can say, oh, well, actually, it's more triangle. I don't know. That's her own journey. What is dangerous is, on my opinion, is that if you have an interpretation of what you see, you try to impose it on other people. That is dangerous.
Yeah.
So you have to work on your own interpretation of what you see. Do what I see, is it true or not? Because honestly, when you look at the design, if you see a svatika, it's because you are interpreting it, because it's not a svatika, it's triangle.
Right.
You know? And again, we are all have a tendency. We are all have a tendency to receive information, and then we have a perception that might be true or might not be true, right? And it's up to each one of us. But I think that if you say to people, you are haters because you didn't see the symbol, is that you are already a hater in your heart.
I think a lot of people are very much at the end of their patience right now, not just with symbols or whatever, with everything. Life is just, well, I mean, we could go into the whole world situation and whatever, but life has become harder for a lot of people. There are some people where life has become easier because they have been getting extremely rich from things, but the majority of people has a harder time to make ends meet, either be from income, or if you're in areas where the climate has changed and you were like a substantial, sustainable, what is it called when you live off the land? So now crops are failing more, or, I mean, so many different things. And politics has been weird, but I guess it's always weird because really when you study history, which I mean, for me, when we had history in school, it was a lot about battles and dates of battles, which I find really annoying, because there's so much more to that. But basically what it tells you, there has been unrest and battles and all of that for a very long time.
And we are supposed to study, well, it's what the teacher said to me, that we are supposed to study history and not to repeat it. But what we are doing is constantly repeating, right?
Absolutely.
So repeating. And so if you see how a movement of hate is moving up, then you say, well, in United States or in any other place in the world, right? So you just learn that lately there were a big terrorist attack in Gaza, right? It's just hate. It's just hate, right? So if you just see all those facts, you say, well, you can see it coming, and with the history I study, maybe we can prevent it. And we don't prevent anything.
No, not even in our own history.
Yeah, well, that's a very good point, because it's where I would like to move on, is that is a collective awareness of what's going on in the world. And then how do you change the collective awareness around you? By changing your own personal awareness, right? So let's go back to the story of I am knitting something that might be or might not be a svatika symbol, right? What is my own journey with this design? What do I want to conquer? Do I want to repeat my pattern that, it's about hate, and so I cannot do that and nobody should do that? Or can you walk your way through it and change the mindset, exactly like the placebo effect, right? If you want it, you create it.
Right.
So if you want to see a svatika and see head, it's what you are creating. If you want to see triangle and beautiful different shape of colors, what it is, it's what you see. And when you start to make your own personal journey regarding your own consciousness, your own relationship with the design if you are knitting, with your neighbor, with the people who have hate, with the people who are doing this, with the political government, then you change your family, then you change your friend, then you change your community. So all coming back together, you say, well, Sophie, you are very cute, that's true. I like to remember that the ocean is made of thousands and thousands of little drops.
Very true, very true.
And I am a drop.
Yeah.
But if I am a drop who is drying, then the ocean is going to be dry. If I am a drop that is just shaking around and see, then I'm eating another drop. And then we create an ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very concerning, all those movement. And it's so new for me as well, because I was in France. I didn't remember that it was so present in France, but never mind. Here, everything can become political.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
For sure.
Yeah. As you said, if you have a red hat, then you are associated with, and maybe you just have a red hat, you know, who knows?
I know. I was thinking about said, so I forgot what it was a symbol for. It might have been QAnon. I don't know. But apparently there was like a secret sign said if you would drink milk. And I was like watching versus two ladies, and they had glasses of milk in their hand, and they were kind of doing this smiley and holding up their glasses of milk. And it had nothing, it wasn't a milk podcast. It was probably a knitting podcast. I don't know. But I was like, why are they drinking milk? And then later I found out, it's a secret sign, like the secret handshake. And I was just, oh my gosh, you know, we can make everything a symbol of something.
Absolutely. So just on this touch, because I find it funny, maybe it's not funny, you will tell me. But the other day, I saw a picture on Facebook, and it was the car, a car, right? The back of the car, and they were an upside down pineapple, a sticker. It's an upside. So I was thinking, okay, well, he has an upside down pineapple. What big deal? I don't know what was this picture. And then I read the comment, and I learned that when you put an upside down pineapple on your car, in front of your house, is that you like to have sex with other couples.
Oh,
right. So it was really, I enjoyed the moment of reading all the commentary, because there was this woman who said, oh, but I just bought myself a beautiful dish, and they have upside down pineapple. Maybe I should not use it. And I was thinking, yes, use it, because they're just pineapple, you know.
well, good to know.
Yeah, and then people were starting to talk and say, oh, and if you have a little dwarf, you know, in your front yard, it means also something. And I was thinking, well, you cannot live your life, because if you put a dwarf in your front backyard, it means that you invite people to have sex with your family. You know, what is the meaning of all that?
I know.
We have to just stop it. Stop seeing all those signs that they're meaning for some people, but they are not the reality. So live your life.
For sure. That, I mean, that's the thing. If you're not in the know about symbols, you might put all kinds of symbols without even knowing.
Yeah, I'm going a little away from the subject, but it goes also of how you are using your mind. Because if you're identifying yourself with everything around you, then you are to have this symbol in front of your house, this symbol, because you identify yourself with those symbols, but you are not the symbols, right?
Right.
So you can have suffered from the Holocaust, but you are not the swastika, right? So the swastika represents something in the past. But if you step away, you know, like, it's a symbol, I have nothing to do with this symbol, so I'm at peace. So that's really about rethinking how we identified ourselves, because I am not this woman with these clothes, speaking French, blah, blah, blah. I am a human being looking for connection. I find connection with you. I find connection with other people, right? But I'm not French or a woman. You know, I like what our yoga teacher said. He said, I don't see a man or a woman. I don't see an old person or a young person. I see a soul.
Right, right. I think that leads us in a whole other thing of how identification of ourselves or others can really mess us up. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But the point is that it's something to think about identification when you see a symbol. If you identify yourself with a symbol, then you have a problem. Because if tomorrow you find a nice sticker with a pineapple that is upside down and say, oh, I love that sticker, I just put it in my car, that's very cute.
Yeah.
You know, you are not the sticker. Now, maybe there are some people that are going to stop at your car and say, hey, Marianne, are you hot tonight? But then you can explain, no, it's just a sticker on the back of my car, you know?
That would be so funny, if you use symbols like that and you have no idea what it means. And then suddenly you have a knock on the door and it's like, well, are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, so it's important to recognize what is fact and what is interpretation, right?
I shared, this with my husband and some other people around here. Not that I have like a huge group of people to share it with, but most who I did had the reaction like, really? What's going on? Are you people losing your mind, right? And I have to say, I usually don't participate that much in forums, especially like huge ones like that, where every minute you have 200 comments or whatever. A lot of time people in forums get they say things they would not say to your face. Let's put it that way. And you can interpret that however you want to. But I kind of followed it a bit just because I do feel it was another layer I had to come to peace with of my own personal history. And especially being now confronted, living in a place where the symbol is being used in a very different way, and thinking about my gut reaction when I first saw it. And of course, it made you think about the state of the world and all of those deep thoughts, sometimes deeply depressing thoughts, right? So for myself, I could see the designer had no other choice but to completely distance himself from the original design and to say, okay, this is my new direction. And I've been really thinking about back and forth. I mean, this might be weird, but in a way I felt this stupid Hitler still has an impact so many years after the fact to cause so much trouble in the world. And do we want to give him said power? Yeah. So I had definitely that coming up to go like, this idiot did so much damage. And now so many years later, he still has power and can do damage,
Well, he doesn't have power. People are giving him power.
Right. That's exactly where my thinking was going. So anyways, for myself, I decided to put the original design in time out and think about it. I picked out new colors to knit the newer design, and I'm not sure if I will or not, because partly I want to support the designer because I feel terrible when you have put so much energy and joy into a work and you present it to the world at large and you get this negative. I mean, I can only imagine that he must have just been at the end of his wits,
Yeah, no, I think that he was very, very, the piece that you showed me in your knitting, it's just part of it. So when the shawl would be completely complete, maybe it will not be obvious. I don't know.
There are a lot of people which are like, well, I'm going to continue with original design because for one, I don't see it. For two, it's on you if you try to interpret, a colorful piece of knitting in this way. So I totally see that point. And I also see the point of the designer to say, well, if you want to call it the official with his name, blah, 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 then this is a design
Yeah, I understand. And I think what is the most important for you is, as you say, you are going to give some thought. But if then you finish the piece and every time you put it on your shoulder, you remember the conversation and all the fuss it was about, then you are never going to enjoy to wear the shawl.
Right. And I think some people decided to do a different version. They were saying, well, I keep the first one and maybe make a pillow or whatever, but this might remind me of all that hate which was spilled in the forums, and it will take the joy away from wearing it. That's why I'm kind of letting it sit for a while and see.
And we come again to the mind, because I think we all created in the mind is that the energy we are to create. Let's say you did your beautiful gray jacket. You had probably a lot of joy creating it, and it's finished. So every time you put your jacket, you put all these positive energies that you had when you created, right? So that the piece of the clothes is the same thing with everything you are wearing. When my mother passed away 7 years ago, I was able to take all her scarf and shawl, and at the beginning, when I was wearing them, it's like I was present with my mother. The reality is that I was probably creating everything in my mind, but who cares?
Right.
Who cares? Because I was wearing the shawl of my mother, and I was feeling like she was hugging me, and it made me feel good. So for you, that's the same with the entire story, how you feel comfortable with it. If every time you like to wear it, you think, I'm going always to think about this story, and we did a podcast about that, and so maybe you're not going to enjoy it.
Exactly. That's why it's going into timeout, and and I see what I want to do. At this point, I don't even know if I want to, what I'm going to do, really. We see.
Yeah. And when you were yourself knitting, what did you see?
I just saw beautiful construction. It was like a fun way. If anything, I would see like a quilt square of some sort, and I still can't see it. Really, I have been looking, and some people have been even trying it out and putting it next to each other, and it's like I see different angles, because and maybe too because I have quilted in the past where you put a lot of geometric designs together. Said if you really want to put something into, you pretty much have to throw out a whole bunch of quilt designs, because they have stripes and angles, and so I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah. And again, it's always the same thing, is that when we make a choice, we have to make peace with the choice we make, right? So, you choose to continue the design, then you make peace with this decision. You decide not to do it anymore, then you make peace with your choice. But when we make a choice and we are not peace with the choice, it's when we suffer.
Right.
So let's say somehow you wanted to continue the design, but you say, no, well, that's better that I stop. Then you are going to always regret it.
Well, I mean, if I stop now, there's always a possibility that I can do it in a year, in 2 years, whatever. I have the patterns.
Yeah. Whatever, or you just unknit everything and you create something completely different. I mean, there is many possibilities, but it's always important to if we need time to take a decision, we make the time, right? But after that, we have to make sure that we are at peace.
For sure. And I think for me, it was really interesting. Reading all the comments and stuff was really a study in human behavior and human psyche, and so many different things, where in the beginning, I absolutely had emotional reaction in terms of like what we talked about, all the different things coming up and thinking about it and saying, well, is this valid? Is it not valid? Having to make those decisions for myself, getting input and so forth. But then just seeing how some people could just not let go, and just like everything has already been said. We don't need to say it again. Take a deep breath and move on.
Absolutely. In life, we have two paths. We have the path that we have an experience, and then we react with emotion and with our own ego. We all have an ego, that's okay. And then we have to recreate it later on, or with the same experience. We just stop, learn, understand, and we gain wisdom. So the way you are sharing about the event, you really did stop, learn, understand, and grow your own wisdom. So we have to pass. And if we go back to the idea that we were talking earlier about the pattern, that when we study history in school, basically we study all the world. So we study how to repeat it.
Yeah, I mean that's
But
the other point,
that's the idea, is that okay, right here, right now, in my individual life, what do I learn? Do I want to repeat it?
right,
Okay. Or do I want to grow from it?
right,
And that's our choice. That's our
right.
choice at the end of the day,
Absolutely,
right? So,
absolutely.
lots of personal growth with this idea of knitting. Crazy.
I know, who knew what knitting can all bring to your life?
Oh my
So
God.
much,
And
so
I,
much.
I love, well, I'm sorry to say that, but I love it. I love that such a incredible, it became a big drama. But at
Right.
the same time that, well, you definitely learn a lot of stuff with that.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. I think that's good for today. What do you think?
Yeah. So, and if you have a upside down pineapple, be happy, guys.
For sure. Have to look for that now.
Okay.
Well, everyone,
Bye-bye.
goodbye. See you soon, or talk to you soon. Hi, Marianne here. This recording was from a little while ago, and if you're curious what happened about the shawl, I decided to knit it in different colors and go with a different middle design. I still have the original. It's still waiting to see if I want to do some with it in the future. While I have you, I want to invite you to join us on Patreon, Explore SoMa. We have a free membership. You can join us and come and talk to us. We have lots and lots of posts you might be interested in. Sophie posted about a really delicious chai tea recipe without any dairy, without any caffeine, if you're interested in that. For our paid patrons, we will do regular drawings on some awesome is a handmade item or special yoga or breathing session. And speaking of breathing, Sophie has quite a few meditations and breath work, all kinds of good stuff. So join us. And the free membership is still a pretty good deal. So come and come and join us. That's all I want to say for today. Have a wonderful day and see you soon. Or talk to you soon, I guess. It's a better way to say this.